Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the PR Bonus Podcast. One of your hosts, Cameron Warren, and I'm joined, as always, by the Pixel Professor, Jacob Price. It's March 19th, 2026. Back to talk about video games. Jake, Crimson Desert is finally out, and the reception is kind of all over the place.
Yeah. What have I seen? Paul Tassi of Forbes fame is a huge fan.
Huge
says
fan.
After
9.5.
100 hours, 9.5. Dang. Jason Schreier says after the opening segment is extremely dry and soulless. I don't know. I think the Metacritic it's sitting at like 80 or something right now. I don't know, man. This to me says this is not a game for everybody. So.
Yeah, I
purchase wisely, I guess.
I don't really know what to think. I probably, it's weird because I kind of still want to buy it for some reason. I'm not sure why. I feel like it's really interesting, kind of what's been created, and I'm hearing a lot of really interesting takes. That being said, I know that I won't get the meat out of this game because I won't. If there's not a story or like side stories that are pretty decent to keep me hooked in, which it sounds like that's one of the worst parts of the game, which I kind of predicted, but I was hoping it would be somewhat good. It sounds like it's not, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I wish it was on Game Pass, to be honest.
Well, it sounds like combat is a ton of fun. So I think this is one of those games that's like, if you are looking for like a really good systems deep combat RPG, like this might be the one for you. If you're looking for something that is going to have a gripping narrative, that you are going to want to learn more about this world and explore every nook and cranny of it,
Yeah,
might want to pass.
probably.
Yeah,
I probably should pass.
Do you think you could wait 48 hours and the feeling of wanting to purchase it will pass? This is a test I do with myself all the time.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait. I think I'm gonna wait till I'm like sitting around like Friday night, and I'm gonna be like, "Am I bored right now? How bored am I?" And I think that's gonna be like, "Okay, I'll download it. I'll buy it on Steam so that I can play it for an hour and a half, and then return it if I'm just like, no, I'm just not feeling this at all."
Yeah.
It's funny, like the streams that I have watched, I've been like, oh, I could play this and like have fun. Like it's kind of looks interesting. But then I read some reviews and I'm like, and then I hear people will be like, well, this is one of those games you kind of just have to play really slow. And I think if you're reviewing it, it's one of those that's going to just kick you in the butt because it's so like, if you're trying to grind through this thing, you're just going to not have fun. So I don't know. I still kind of want to try it, but I am going to wait. I'm going to wait like 24 hours from now, Jake. I'll let you know. What happens.
Let me know. Let me know what happens because it will be Friday night in 24 hours.
That is correct.
We'll see. Honestly, I have been watching a few streams, and to be fair, I've been pretty busy today, so I haven't like really watched a stream like in that much detail or for an extended period of time. It kind of seems fine. Like, I don't know. I don't see myself really getting any more interested than I am now in it.
Yeah, I think the thing with like Skyrim's main story was kind of lame, right? Nobody finished that. But Skyrim had so many cool side narrative things, which is what made that game cool, right? It wasn't the combat. I don't know, but like Breath of the Wild story kind of sucks too, right? So then you're like, well, if I like the mechanics and the world's cool to explore, like, is it that type of experience? That's the question I've asked myself, right? Is like, could it be maybe like that? I don't know.
I mean, it could, and I wonder if that's just kind of the issue, right? Even now, people are trying to figure out exactly what kind of a game it is, and if that game will align with what you like.
That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. I was hoping from the reviews that I would know, like, oh yeah, I want to try this, and now I feel like I'm even more confused than before.
Yeah. Yeah, I read this good review from Eurogamer that it felt like it was just whiplash the whole way through, where it was like this part of the game is an absolute slog. This part of the game is incredible, and I loved every second of this. And so, yeah, I read that review and I thought, it sounds like I'd be in a similar boat where there's stuff here that I really like,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I'd ever be compelled to really stick with it.
Yeah, I mean, I know I wouldn't get anywhere close to 100 hours. That's a joke. I don't play anything for 100 hours, except for BG3, of course.
Of
But
course.
you already knew that. You already knew that. No, besides that, I really haven't been playing anything else but Resident Evil, and a teeny tiny bit of Pokemon Pokopia. But I do want to actually keep playing Pokopia. I just haven't found the time yet.
Yeah.
It's good, Jake. It's a great, just like chill out, relax. It's like here's what I said in our group chat, which I think is true. I think that the reason that this is the highest rated Pokemon game ever is because it's Pokemon without the antiquated battle system.
Yeah. I can
Which
see that.
I hate to say it like that, but I mean we all know. We all know, right? Jake, you even know. Like we
I even know.
you know what I mean? You know what I mean.
You know what's wild is I haven't picked it up in a while now, but I got Pokemon Leaf Green and playing through that, man. I think there's actually a really cool design in that game in terms of how you progress and advance it because I
Mhm.
didn't realize. I remember playing Pokemon Blue as a kid. I had some sort of guide that like came in this package with the Game Boy Color and Pokemon Blue,
Yeah.
and I always played it according to the guide. But like this playthrough, I'm realizing there's actually way more flexibility in how you want to approach some of the game.
Mm.
Um, and I actually think Pokemon Leaf Green strikes this really cool balance between something that's super on rails and something that's open world. And
Interesting.
a part of me is like, maybe this is one of the biggest issues with recent Pokemon games is that they're not in this middle ground anymore. Not in a way that's comfortable, or they lean really heavily towards linear, and versus I don't know, versus what they're doing now with open world, and now Pokemon Winds and Waves is looking to be open world again. And I just kind of wonder if that's part of it. I agree with you. The battle system is pretty standard at this point, and I kind of wish that we would do a little bit more like Pokemon Legends Arceus, man. I think that's probably the best version of the Pokemon battle system that we've got.
Yeah, I think it's just Arceus, and that's a good question I had on like Red and Leaf Green. Do you feel like the games offer a teeny bit more challenge, maybe a little bit more? I just feel like the newer games are just way, way, way too easy. Just way too easy.
I think probably some of I think there's yes and no, and it comes down to the same thing, in that in when I'm going through battles in Leaf Green, by and large, there's actually a very small pool of Pokemon that opposing trainers are using,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a huge type imbalance in that game. Basically, if you have a Psychic type move on a halfway decent Pokemon early on, you are going to obliterate that game because a lot of people use Pokemon that are poison, so they're weak to Psychic, or they take neutral damage from Psychic type attacks, and you're gonna have a pretty easy go of it. Now you start that game with Charmander, and sure there are a lot of grass types, but there are also a ton of water types. Like
Mm.
it's much more difficult. I just think there's a lot less variety in what you're up against in terms of the battles. And so it makes for this really weird kind of experience that's yeah, I just think the type imbalance in that game makes it more difficult in some ways. Um, I also think that you have to grind out your whole team, right?
Yeah.
You can get an experience share in Leaf Green Fire Red, like that's possible, but it's not like given to you from the beginning of the game. And I think in that way, it's much more difficult. If you want to have like a level advantage over your opponents, You have to do a lot of grinding or do what I'm doing, and I have a reduced team instead of using a full 6 Pokemon team. I'm really using only 4 Pokemon, and I actually like that a lot better. I actually think it feels much better that way because you just have less Pokemon to grind out, but also there's a bit more of a challenge in terms of what I'm up against. I don't know. So there's a really long answer, but in short, I'd say yeah. Overall, they're just more difficultly designed games.
That's good to hear. I've been actually considering going back to the old one, like the OG, just for old time's sake. I've also thought about just going back to Arceus because I think to your earlier point, Arceus probably does the best job of the modern Pokemon to offer what feels like sort of the original level of at least like when I was a kid,
Yeah.
like it kind of offered that up, right? Yeah, dude, that's a good game. Why don't we get a sequel to
I
that?
gotta get Ollie. Ollie. Come on. Sit down. We'll lay down somewhere.
Well, Jake, anything else you've been anything else you've been playing besides Resident Evil, obviously, in preparation for our full blown analysis on that game?
I finally started I Am Your Beast. I forgot that you had recommended this game to me a long time ago.
I saw you started that and I was like, whoa, that's Whiplash. I forgot this. I forgot we were played this at one point, or this was a thing.
Dude, it's a great game. It's like strange scaffolds, right? So this is what's his name?
Yeah.
That one indie guy that we all like.
Yeah.
It feels like sort of his take on Metal Gear Solid, but it's a first-person shooter. It's not stealth by any means, and it's like this kind of time trial speed run game. Dude, that game feels really polished, and it feels really great to play, and it's got this great story that's voice acted. Been enjoying the heck out of that. I've been playing Death Howl, which is kicking my butt, dude. That is a freaking difficult game. It's this Souls-like deck builder, and I'm not great at deck builders, and so this game is just absolutely trouncing me. I'm looking at guides. I'm asking for help from people. I'm sufficiently humbled playing it. And then let's see here. Cameron, did you ever play the game Eco, the 2001 game? It's spelled ICO.
I did not. I'm familiar with it.
So I've been playing that, and that game I actually enjoy the heck out of it. It's a kind of a vibes-based game in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And puzzles can be pretty obtuse.
I saw you were playing that on stream today.
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun. I've actually really enjoyed that game a ton. Although sometimes I'll hit a wall. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, I'll see all the puzzle pieces as I'm getting from one end of a room to another, and there'll just be one piece that I cannot get to fit, and I'll have to look it up, and it's like, oh, I never would have thought of that. I was like, great thing that Game FAQs is still running. Otherwise, I'd be stuck here indefinitely.
Game FAQs. Well, they just fed all that to ChatGPT now, so.
That's true.
That's all it exists for. Now, that's cool. Eco. That's a throwback.
Yeah,
Jake, when
good.
you stream, question on streaming, what do you get more like people to tune in for? Classic game playthroughs of kind of popular classic games or new releases?
Actually, in my experience, new releases are a huge mixed bag. Sometimes you'll get a ton of people in there. Sometimes everybody's just going to your favorite or the biggest streamers. Like they'll just kind of absorb everybody in the room. So new games it's a total mixed bag. It's really hard to predict if a new game is going to do well.
Gotcha.
With older games, classics specifically, so like I'm playing through Final Fantasy X right now on stream. Lots of people pop in because a lot of people are nostalgic for it, or they just want to see. I'm playing it through for the first time,
Gotcha.
which I think is exciting for a lot of people who like if that's their favorite game of all time, and they're like, oh, some guy's playing through it for the first time. Like people really enjoy that. So I think it's way more consistent to do like classic retro games than it is new games. Sometimes with a new game, like I'll get a ton of people in there, but that's a crapshoot, dude. That feels way more like gambling. because I just don't know what the outcome is going to be.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's dig into the topic of today's show, which is we did our first impressions of Resident Evil Requiem. This episode, this is our full-blown, full-bore standard analysis of the game. Jake and I both have completed this game. Actually, I should clarify. Jake has completed it. I am at the final boss.
Okay.
But have not beaten it yet. But I'm at the final boss. This is this weird thing that happens to me. I'm super weird, and I want somebody to psychoanalyze my personality and my the strange things. I will get to the end of a video game and not finish it. My brain tells me you don't need to finish it. It's fine. You don't care. It's a very strange. I don't know what it is. It's just like I get to the very end of a game and I'm like, yeah, I'm good. It's like, and I don't feel like I need to see the ending. It's the strangest thing in the world. I don't know why it happens, but I'll tell you right now, I loved this game, but I feel no desire to go just see the ending. I don't know why. So take that information and do with it what you will, listener, and provide a psychoanalysis for me and post it in the Discord. Jake, with that, how do we break down video games on the show?
If you're new to the Pre-Order Bonus podcast, we talk about games in 3 categories. The first one being the narrative. If you're new, just know that we only cover about the first 20 to 30% of a game. And so with Resident Evil Requiem, we're going to probably talk through the first major Grace section. So if you know what that means, then you kind of know about where we're going to go story-wise. Next, we'll be talking about the game design. So this is often the mechanics, the gameplay loop, kind of what we're doing in the game, how you're making progress in the game. And then finally, impact on the industry. This is going to be a fun one to talk about just because this is a franchise that's been around forever. I mean, this is the 9th main game in a series. It's the fastest selling Resident Evil game of the franchise's history. If I remember the social media post I saw, I want to say within 2 weeks it's already sold at least 6 million copies. Do any of those numbers sound right to you, Cameron?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. But we'll talk all that good stuff at the very end. Also, know that for folks who have subbed to our Patreon, we will be doing an extended edition of this episode, and we're going to do something that's pretty rare for us, and we are going to do a full spoilers discussion of the game. So we will talk all the way up to the final boss, and just kind of what we think about how the game has progressed narratively and otherwise. So if you're interested in that, consider subbing to the Patreon.
Do it now. Let's dive in. Narrative. Resident Evil. This is man, we've talked about Resident Evil before on the podcast. These are definitely narrative. I'll even go so far as to say these are like narrative focused, like story driven video games.
Yeah.
Would you say, Jake? Yeah.
I would say at least character driven. You care about the protagonists and what they're doing in these games.
Yeah, so the general setup is that, and they kind of follow similar paths in all the games, is that there's usually some sort of crime or mystery or murder or something that starts off as sort of a semi-traditional investigation into something that's happened, right? Something that's... Except for Resident Evil 7 and 8, which kind of just do their own thing. But anyway, it starts off that way very, very quickly. Like within the first 5 minutes, it's like, no, this isn't like a crime. This is just zombies. And then,
yeah,
and then you get in there and you figure out like, okay, there's all this crazy shiz going on. This game stars 2 protagonists. You have Leon, obviously, who's been in all of, not all of them, but most of the previous games as the main character, and then Grace. And Grace is she's a new character, and her character is unraveled throughout this story. You learn a lot more about her. You also play as her in the game, and you kind of go back and forth between Leon and Grace, where Leon is the more traditional Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4 action focused gameplay, and Grace is the more new age survival horror gameplay. And so you kind of jump between these two. And you're kind of uncovering the mystery of sort of Grace goes to investigate a murder that happened in a hotel that is connected to the very beginning of the game, where you see her mother, what looks to be her mother, get murdered, and some crazy shiz go down. She ends up in the FBI. And then Leon kind of jumps in. He's also kind of on the tail of some crap that's happening, and then your paths kind of cross. And that's kind of the narrative that happens. Very, 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 very similar structure to some of the older Resident Evil games, and kind of how you have these different set pieces. You have puzzles to solve in those set pieces, and then as you finish elements of those like different puzzles, and we'll talk about more about that, more of the story unravels. But Jake, what did you think overall of this narrative, kind of from a general standpoint?
I'm a huge fan of this dual perspectives of this story. Grace and Leon, they're both essentially investigating the same thing, which there's a string of like really messed up murders taking place, and the only common thread of the victims is that they all survived the Raccoon City incident that took place in Resident Evil 2.
Yes.
When Raccoon City was bombed.
Very deep connections to Resident Evil 2 in this game, yeah.
Yeah, I would almost hesitate to recommend Resident Evil Requiem to folks who haven't played Resident Evil 2.
Yes.
Yeah, because narratively it makes a ton of callbacks to Resident Evil 2. Obviously, Leon is a protagonist that's shared between both games. In this game, I mean, Requiem deals with a lot of things that Leon has experienced as a part of Resident Evil 2. So I would just say up front, like, if you're really interested in this game but you haven't played Resident Evil games before, I would say go back and play Resident Evil 2 Remake. That was my introduction to this franchise, and I thought it was a great introduction. Play through Leon's story, then come to this game. But yeah, I love this back and forth perspective. Grace is, as an FBI agent, she's not a field agent. She's an office, desk jockey, basically. Her manager, who has absolutely zero compassion for his employees, is like
this man should be fired from the FBI for negligence. Yeah.
Clearly, absolute zero empathy, no emotion from this guy. He's like, hey, Grace, I know it's traumatic, but we need you to investigate this since you've been investigating these cases of these murders. One took place at the hotel that burned down and was where your mother died. And we're
going to send you in alone with like 4 bullets, by the way.
Yeah. and he's just like, listen, Grace, I know that this is a traumatic place for you, but your mom died like 8 years ago. Do this for me, please? And I was like, okay, like, sure, dude. Let's just say, anyway, all of that aside, you end up going to, I think it's called Renwood as Grace. This is where you start the game.
Yeah.
And I love this introduction. The hotel is immensely creepy. It sets the tone incredibly well. You get these amazing flashback sequences as well, too. The game from the get-go is like, we're going to show you all of the blood and gore possible. It's a very good, I think, litmus test if you're going to be able to stomach what the game is going to give you.
Right.
But it gives us this good reason, essentially, for Grace to show up and be where she's at. And Leon also shows up because he, for personal reasons, is investigating these murders as well. And what we see from the beginning of the game is that he starts having these, like, what looks like this kind of stalling decay on different patches of his skin. And it's explained pretty early on that it's like some sort of effect of him having been in Raccoon City. So I love this. They set it up nicely for both characters to essentially be at the same place at the same time. And I think they give you a really fantastic introduction to who both the characters are early on. So we're already rooting for Grace and for Leon. We're definitely in their corner. And it's a good place to be. I really liked it.
Yeah, I think I liked I think that my favorite parts of this story, obviously, like you have the B movie. I mean, first off, this is like a fantastic like B movie, right? From Leon's
Oh yeah,
perspective, like an amazing. Like I would go see this in theaters, and I would sit down with my popcorn and be like, "Heck yeah, bro!
yeah,
Leon shooting dudes in the face. Let's go."
yeah,
But the gray side of it, actually, I think they do a pretty good job of like, not an amazing job because again, I don't think that's the point, but there's this element of Grace kind of like confronting her past trauma like through this experience, right?
yeah,
Like basically literally quite literally facing down her demons um
yeah,
in many ways, and kind of figuring out how to like get through that and kind of suck it up. It's very it's it's nice to kind of see. I mean, it's horror, but it's like positive horror, if that makes sense, in the sense that like in many ways like they get through it and they figure it out, even though like bad stuff happens, like kind of,
yeah.
you know, um, like things get figured out over the course of the story, but some crazy shit goes down along the way. um,
Yeah.
and yeah, so I don't think there's anything like crazy deep here to like psychoanalyze, but I kind of like seeing Grace go through that. Obviously, they do a really good job in terms of the audio design of Grace. She is freaked the F out like this entire game. So every time you play as Grace, like you hear her breathing, she's like like the entire game while she's shooting zombies in the face. And you're like, okay, I feel like you've like your heart rate's come down by now. Like you're just living in this. So it actually bothered me when I would get further in the game and that she was still like in certain parts of the game, her breathing levels were still very like the same as they were at the very beginning. Where I'm like, I feel like by now, like you're used to this, right? Like you've kind of figured it out. You're killing tons of zombies at this point. Like you're basically a super commando at this point, like the way that I played you. But she was still freaked out the whole game. Anyway.
I mean, I love the little details. I noticed with her that after she had like a really particularly scary encounter, or one where like I got injured pretty severely, her hands would shake like much more visibly than just like the
Yeah.
normal sway as you're walking
Amazing
through.
little details. Yep.
Those kind of details, super cool. Yeah, let's see. From the beginning, essentially, Grace finds out that there's this man who is very disturbing looking, named Victor Gideon,
Mm-hmm.
and he's set up to, he's teed up to be the main antagonist here, and he just straight up kidnaps her. She wakes up in a creepy hospital area. Man,
Creepy mental hospital, like the creepiest you
it
can
is,
possibly
yeah.
imagine. Yeah.
And it's a super there's a super unsettling cutscene right when she like rips the blood, I'm blanking on it, but the tube that stabbed into her arm.
Yeah.
She like rips that out and she like escapes from being strapped into place. The game gives you this great little tutorial where you're up against the first major creepo, which is the girl. And
Oh my
dude, this
gosh,
was so
dude.
freaky, man. You go into this room where they were obviously like keeping this child, and there's like a storybook that the child is
Yes.
colored,
Oh,
and I was just like, dude, this is messed up. Whatever you're doing to this kid's got trauma for life. Like they're
trauma for
so
life,
rude.
dude. I have trauma
Um,
for life just playing that part of the game, to be honest.
um, But yeah, I mean, I love this. This is something that's used a lot in storytelling. You have a character that doesn't really know what's going on, and so you, as the viewer, or in this case, the player, you can ask questions with them, and you can get those answers, and the story can be kind of doled out to you as you figure things out as the protagonist. Um, I love these opening segments also with Leon, because the game, like when you first play as Leon, and you have a super pistol called the Requiem,
Mm-hmm.
and you absolutely obliterate zombies with it. Freaking love that gun. And then the second time you play as him, he's in the same care center as Grace, and the game charges you like a bunch of these zombies charge at you. One of them's got a chainsaw, and the game's just like, well, get the chainsaw and kill everybody else. And I love that how he gets to use a hatchet in the beginning. But anyway, they both end up at this care center investigating what the heck is going on with this Victor Gideon guy.
Yeah.
And then the first main section really of the game is Grace escaping from this care center. But while she is doing it, and this is the final story point that I'll talk about, while she's doing it, she discovers there are two girls that look very similar in cells locked away. And she sees one of them alive, and her name is Emily, and she has cataracts, like severe cataracts. She's blind. And so Grace is like, she has this purpose, which is not only am I going to escape, but I'm going to get this girl out of here as well too. And that becomes like one of the main narrative points throughout Grace's story.
Yes. Big stuff built off of that. Yeah, I think and again, I say B movie, but I think this even straddles the line sometimes where I'm like, oh, they've got some like meaty, meat on the bone here that's like pretty solid. And then Leon makes like a funny quip, and so they never go too long without being like goofy about it, which is nice, right? Like it cuts the tension. Mm-hmm. It would be really easy for this game to get too serious about itself, and it doesn't do that. And I think that's great. Like it's just a great trait, like that they can kind of be light and kind of have fun with it, but also be crazy dark and have horrific elements built throughout it. It's that yin and yang that we talk about that with like Ghost of Tsushima, right? That does such a good job of that as well, where you go from just these visceral scenes of just ridiculous murder, blood splattering across the screen to, creating poetry in front of a river, right? Like, so they just have these kind of light and dark moments, and they just do a really good job with it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this story. I always love to see how they connect it back to the human conspiracy theory element of kind of how all this stuff got started and how it connects to sort of this main through line of, why everybody's infected and why it's there, and it's always connected to this kind of greater thing. It's always interesting to see how they connect that back, which they always do. I think they always do a great job of that.
Yeah, I agree. I think they did a really good job with that here also, where pretty much the moral of pretty much every Resident Evil game that I've played is Umbrella Corporation is evil, and they are up to no good. And they're always trying to create a super soldier, and that super soldier always turns into a monster, and it's never worth it.
They cannot stop, ever.
They cannot stop. There is, I would say, in Requiem, I don't know if I'd call it a twist, but it doesn't exactly rehash this story. When you get towards the end, I was kind of surprised, and we'll talk about this in our extended edition this was a good surprise. I think they kind of elevated a little bit what this kind of formula that they've developed can do and what it means. And so I think if you're a longtime fan of, or maybe not a longtime fan, but like just an average fan of Resident Evil, and you're on the fence here, and if story is something that you want out of this, I think Requiem delivers in a pretty cool way.
Jake, did I see is this real or was this AI generated?
Something I ask every single day when I'm grading. Anyway, moving on.
Paul. Oh, no. Okay. I swear I saw something with somebody did something with AI saying like it was an image of oh my gosh, what's the actor's name who's in the Twilight films and the Christopher Nolan movies? What's that guy's name?
Oh, Robert Pattinson.
It's a picture of Robert Pattinson as Leon, and it said Paul Thomas Anderson's Resident Evil 2027. And I was like,
I'd actually go see that.
Dude, yeah, right? so I was like, wait, was that real or was that AI? I'm pretty sure it was AI.
Oh, man, I would totally see that.
What is his name?
Robert Pattinson?
Robert Pattinson. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the Resident Evil movies. I think these are all... Wait, maybe this is real. No, this isn't real. No, it's fake. Anyway. Yeah. Jake, anything else to say about the narrative for Resident Evil? I think this game does a good job. I don't know if I would put it above or below kind of any of the other ones in terms of kind of what it does narratively, but it just they continue to just keep a very high quality bar. Yeah, I mean they're just really consistent. You know, like all these games are just really consistent.
Yeah.
It's crazy how they're able to keep like that consistent quality bar and kind of have it be there release after release. Obviously, the games before this were remakes, so they're cheating a little bit. But the fact that they could make like a brand new one and then also have kind of that interesting stuff. I think the stories are maybe not as great in Village. Village was obviously like a very, very different game, but I think they're right back to it with this one.
I think I agree. As far as comparing this to Village, just in terms of the recent Resident Evil games, I think this story is leagues better in terms of like, it's more than just like this, I gotta save my daughter story.
Yeah. Yep.
There's more nuance to it. There's a little bit more that the game has to say about the themes rather than just presenting themes.
True.
If that makes sense.
Yep.
And again, like I'm just gonna say this again, I kind of think if you're interested in Requiem but haven't played a Resident Evil game before, you gotta play 2 before you play
100%.
9. I think the story is gonna matter so much more in kind of who Leon is and some of the reactions that Leon has to the events in Requiem are gonna hit a little harder. They're gonna be felt a little more deeply that way.
Absolutely don't. I would say do not jump into this right out the gate if you haven't played a Resident Evil before. Play Resident Evil 2 Remake. It's cheap. At least play that one before you play this one. I think that's probably the only one you really need to play before you play this one. But all the other ones are great.
So. Yeah.
And by the way, Jake, this game is gorgeous. I mean, this game is unbelievably gorgeous. It's crazy how much they can push the fidelity and the performance when it's not like an open world. It's not trying to be like an open world. It's just a condensed world. Man, they just can push the performance and the graphical fidelity so much higher because they don't have to deal with so many elements on screen at once and so much draw distance and like all these different systems. When they're very straightforward about it, like it is incredible what they can accomplish. And in terms of visuals, this game is so gorgeous to look at. The lighting, just like going into a random hospital room and just like looking at cups and desks. I mean, I was like floored by the amount of detail that you're seeing like kind of all over this game. And it just looks incredible. I mean, it just looks absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it actually, you talking about this reminded me of the game South of Midnight, which there are a lot of interior locations, and they're highly, highly detailed precisely because of what you're saying here. There's like less that they have to keep, like the game has to keep track of much less in the world.
Yeah.
And I just think that they utilize the interiors here really beautifully. There are very few kind of like outdoor sections, but those also work incredibly well. This game manages to adhere to a very good art direction while leaning towards realism, but keeping things super. I mean, like you said, like it's just these condensed locations that, they might not feel very large, but there's just so much going on in the little corners. Actually, in the care center, there's this section that you pass through as Grace often that has like, it's like a piano and a bar. It's like this lounge type area, right? If you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking. Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking of.
Okay, yeah. So after I had cleared out that cleared out that room of zombies, I just took a lap around that room.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, this is crazy impressive. How much detail is here, and like even for how long the blood stains will sit on the floor, up until you get to some moment that's going to kind of reset zombies in a specific area. There's also one section in the care center where it becomes really important. It kind of feels it's one of the few sections where it's like a horde based area where you are guarding Emily. That section also. Again, once I cleared the room of all the enemies, I just took a lap. One, to collect items because I was out after that fight, but two, just to like look at how much detail is in here. Crazy impressive.
Let's talk about the game design. Um, Resident Evil follows a pretty standard pattern that I think they've refined with each successive game. And so basically, where you're at is you kind of have Leon, which is more on rails, third person action game, basically,
Yeah.
but like very, very modern, obviously. Just feels incredible to just shoot stuff in the head. I mean, it's just like an amazing feeling action game. And then you have there's some light puzzle solving and some things with Leon and some things that he has to do. And then Grace is the survival horror that we talked about. And then she had so basically you have certain puzzles that you need to go solve or items that you need to find in the world.
Yeah.
Puzzles are like not necessarily puzzles, but you need to go find certain things in a certain order to unlock a door that leads to another door, and you kind of put things together. Basically, you're just exploring, and so you're kind of solving these puzzles organically as you kind of find new things in the world. And then as you get unlock certain elements of the puzzle, that moves the story forward, and then like things happen, and you do that by kind of going around for example, like the first area, which is the mental hospital or this hospital. You have to go find these like little star and moon and sun statues that go into this door that supposedly is going to unlock like the key to getting outside. So you got to go around and dodge your way through zombies and various creatures to kind of go find that. And the game's kind of built around that. And I've said this about Resident Evil 2, but I think what Resident Evil does so well is it just makes you feel like you're solving puzzles without actually solving like you rarely really have to think about the puzzles very hard, but it's almost like you have to think just barely enough where it makes you feel smart, even though you're not that smart. You're just kind of playing the game.
Yep.
And that's just what these games do really well. Like I never feel like, I think there was only one time where I couldn't figure out what to do, but it's just as I just wasn't looking at the right thing, and as soon as I did, it was like very easy. But that's the thing I come away, maybe it's dumb to be impressed by, but I just walk away being like, man, this game makes me feel like I'm getting a lot of things done, even though I'm just playing the game, right? And I'm like making progress every 5 minutes. I'm finding some new little thing, right? It doesn't feel like I have to circle all over the place to figure out what I need to do. Things are just happening, which is cool.
Yeah, I agree. It's amazing how in Resident Evil you were hunting for so many freaking cranks or levers to get through.
Yeah.
And how that's not gotten as stale as it should have.
100%.
I think part of that is exactly what you're saying, is like you get to a room and there's some sort of puzzle combination that you need to progress. And honestly, it's like, okay, look around the room. The room will supply the hints for you. And then you just got to piece them all together. And I think that's something that I do like about Resident Evil, is that very rarely do you have to, like, for any of the kind of logic puzzles or like combinations you have to get, very rarely do you have to like go to the other side of the map in order to find a solution piece. That will be much more common if you need to find like a handle or a lever or a crank or whatever it is. Whenever I see that, or like a specific key, I'm like, okay, I just got to be vigilant and check every room now. And that's what I think is so great about this game design, is that it strongly encourages you and incentivizes you to thoroughly explore. And the only time the game really wants you to backtrack or make serious backtracking is when you know that there could be a specific, like, highly desirable item, but not something for the main story.
Yeah.
Something that's totally optional, but typically is always worth it. So I remember like getting, I think it was like lockpicks, and I was like, oh, I am pretty low on ammo, or like a safe combination, and it's like,
yes,
if I make this hike to the safe, I'll probably get a buttload of really good ammo.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
and it's like if I feel like I'm coming up on a boss fight, or I feel like I just need the firepower for whatever reason, then it might be worth it to go make the hike and go get the thing. Or like playing as Grace, getting a hip pouch. If I could got a whiff of doing something would get me a hip pouch, I was like, all right, I'm on it. Like, I
Yes.
know that's always worth it because when you're playing as Grace, inventory is it's your worst enemy by far, and anything to expand that inventory is welcome.
And the thing they throw at you in the different sections is similar to how they did it with what's the guy's name in Resident Evil 2?
Oh, Mr. X,
Mr. X.
the tyrant or whatever.
Yeah, so Mr. X, so they have a similar thing here, but it's the girl that Jake mentioned. And the girl is freaky. Is very freaky. Yeah. Extremely freaky. Like, the girl only can survive in the dark. And so the game, the design of the puzzles is built around turning lights on and off.
Yep.
And man, they just do that with such high efficacy. It's crazy. Like they catch you in scenarios where it's the lights go off and you've got to find your way out. I remember one specific scenario, I was just stuck in the corner trying to hide, and of course the girl walks like straight into the room and just completely blocks me off, and I'm like, I have never been more terrified in my life. I'm shutting the game off right now.
I'm dead.
Yeah,
I said that so many times to be like out loud to myself, I'm dead.
Yeah, I'm dead. I'm dead. Yep. And if you get like attacked, I mean, it's this visceral, extremely violent animation, and you're just like, oh, I don't want to see this. Like, I can't look.
I would squint my eyes pretty often with some of these. When I got grabbed by some of the big enemies, I'd be like, oh, dude, you're going to take a bite out of my shoulder. And it is going to be filthy.
Dude, it is. They went all out on those animations. And it's freaky, dude. Like, it gets the heart rate up. I mean, my heart rate does not get up playing video games almost ever. But this game kind of makes you... I mean, when you're getting freaking chased by the girl and she's right behind you and it's like dark and you're like really close to the light and you're sprinting for your life, your heart rate jumps up a little bit.
I'm always like, Grace, I know you can run faster.
I know, you're so freaking slow. Like, come on.
I know, like, get it together. Like, just sprint right now. There's actually one section, I won't mention it because it's like kind of past the care center, but of course in like horror game fashion, you have to run through the dark from one end of the map to the other to like complete the level.
Classic. You know it's coming. You literally like, okay, I know what you're doing here. Like, you're gonna make me run, aren't you? Yeah.
Yep. Got to make a sprint here. Every time that happens, just masterful game design and just like where the zombies are coming out in front of you to block you, and so you're like, I'm like sitting there leaning forward. My shoulders are incredibly tense. Like my collarbones are bending because I'm like so tense, like leaning over. And then I'm just, you're just like trying to duck, dodge, dip, and dive your way like through all these zombies to book it out there. This is one thing I want to say about the game design. I thought a lot of people complained about Resident Evil Village's yellow paint problem. I don't know exactly how this game did it. I was trying to look for it, but this game has incredible cues that are pretty dang subtle to tell you where to go if you're trying to figure out where to go. So I think, like, I never really felt lost. Also, when it's on rails, this game is very on rails, and it's hard to get lost. But I thought with the Grace sections in particular, where you're kind of roaming these wider areas and maps, really loved the subtle cues for guidance to get around.
Yeah, I think there's two different games here. Like we mentioned, obviously the survival horror, puzzle solving, the Leon shoot 'em up sections, which are just great, with the exception of like one specific area that it wasn't that it was like not good, but I think it was maybe a little bit too drawn out, where the rest of the game had been like a little bit more self-contained and had like great pacing. You kind of hit a little bit of a wall in the pacing a tiny bit. That feels a little bit like, I want to say it starts to infringe on bloat a little bit. This specific section that I'm thinking of, Jake. I think you know the one I'm talking about, but
Is it rooftops?
no, no, later on, like before, like the finale, without spoiling
yes.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, but even so, just shooting. I mean, so this game is combat with guns. You do have like you can get like shivs. That are not very effective, but if you have them, a zombie comes and bites you, you can stab the zombie in the face and get off of them. As Grace, you spend a lot of time like shooting the zombies in the head. You can kill them, but they're bullet sponges, and you've got to hit them in the head like 5 or 6 times, and so it wastes a lot of bullets. So you also do not have a lot of bullets in the early stages of the game, so you're spending time like conserving ammo. I remember one specific area, like I literally had no ammo at all. And there was a million zombies, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm literally just straight up just trying to run past these guys. And somehow I made my way and was able to kind of push a few out of the way and kind of get to the next section where I could find like a couple things of ammo. And so, yeah, the game will throw that at you as well.
Yep, and this will probably be the final thing to say about game design. I think it's a super bold choice to basically package 2 games into one.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
They pulled it off, and I was really, really pleased with how Leon played versus how Grace played. With Grace, you just have to be so much more tactical. I ended up going back and finding like a trinket that boosted the duration and damage of my knives, and that made an absolute world of difference with Grace. Being able to hold on to makeshift knives much longer, just saved me. But yeah, with her, I had another section where I came out of a fight. I went into it with like 20-something bullets, came out of it with like 2, and I was like, oh, I'm screwed. Like, I'm gonna have to try to be sneaky or something in this game to get around it. And then with Leon, I love the hatchet gameplay with him. There is a parry that you can use, and I thought the window was probably more generous than games that are like parry specific, but another just like really great way to kind of work your way through all these different enemies. And this is the point I wanted to get to, is that they did a really great job of just like, Grace is surviving. She is not a field agent in the FBI. In basic training, she probably learned how to shoot a gun, and that's about it. And so that's her play style.
Yeah.
And then Leon is this gruff veteran fighter who has killed thousands of these zombies before. And so I just thought like how they both played and felt to actually play and like move through the game, they made them feel so different in a really cool way.
Yeah, 100%. Let's talk about the impact on the industry. This is obviously the 9th game in a long-running series. I mean, this game sold incredibly well. We talked about it in the first impressions episode. I actually brought up I wanted to find like the most updated number.
Okay.
But anyway, this game sold a ton of 6 million sales. Okay. In just like a few weeks. So this game is a smash hit. I mean, it's crazy, Jake. This is a on-rails 11-hour, 10 to 12-hour single-player game that cost full price $70 and sold like 6 million units in a week. Is that the power of a brand? Is Resident Evil that powerful as a brand, or is there something else going on here?
I love this question because, for me, this is something that you and I have both been asking for, and we said in our impressions episode of Requiem, is like, this game feels like it's going to be around 10 hours, and my play time was 11 hours or something. I thought it was an excellent length. Yeah, towards the end, there is one section that we both agree on where it felt like it slowed maybe a little bit. But yeah, this is a $70 game, and that's kind of been the new normal for AAA games for quite a while now. And I just feel like, for me, like if this is the type of game that you're interested in, if you like Resident Evil games, especially the remakes and the newer stuff, then this kind of feels like a no-brainer, no zombie pun intended, to get. But again, we were just talking about Crimson Desert at the beginning of this episode, also a $70 game. It doesn't have, this storied franchise behind it in its name. It's got what, Black Desert, the MMO, and that's what it's got kind of going for reputation. And I and you, we're both waffling on this game, and it's like, the old metric of hours per dollar, it doesn't make sense. It never really has made sense. But I just think part of it is like, yeah, I think the short answer to your question is like, I do think the fact that this is a Resident Evil game does help quite a lot,
Yeah.
to make $70 price point feel good. Me having recently I played the Resident Evil 3 remake just like weeks before this game came out, and I just thought to myself, yeah, dude, I'll get Requiem. Like, even if, because I think it's going to be worth it for me.
Yeah.
These remake games,
I had zero hesitation. I mean, $70 is a lot of money. $80 is a ton of money. Like, but for some reason with this game, I just had no hesitation. I was like, yep, I'm in 100%. Like, no question about it. I will say this, and I brought this up about Elden Ring, and I think it bears worth repeating. This game also had an excellent marketing campaign.
yes,
Fantastically executed marketing. Capcom has, whoever's running the go-to-market for video games over there, I don't know if it's centered out of the US or if it's Japanese based, whoever it is, fantastic job. Maybe they use the same people as FromSoft, because FromSoft also has amazing marketing for their games. They just do a great job. Like, they just get this out there. They don't show too much. It's not weird or quirky. Like, the stuff that they show is like cool. It's fun to look at. The trailers like don't give away too much of the game. They make it look fun. Like, they just don't make mistakes when it comes to the marketing. And so I think that plays a huge role, especially for these AAA games. And in this world of kind of social media, Crimson Desert actually is an interesting use case, because I actually literally see there's this weird, I don't know if it's the marketing for Crimson Desert or something else, but there are people online literally defending this game from like reviewers because they want it to be good, because they've been convinced that like it's gonna be good. And so so the fact that the review scores have been like not great, dude, you're seeing people online like coming to the defense of this game, and it's just it's interesting to see. Whereas like with Marathon, for example, right, like people wanted to hate that out of the gate, and it's like, well, why did that happen? Does that have something to do with like the marketing? Is it Bungie? A lot of it does, I think, come down to how the game gets presented to the player. And for some reason, I don't know what the science of it is. I couldn't tell you exactly what the reasons are. Maybe worth doing like a deeper thinking for myself on like maybe coming up with a hypothesis of like why this is. But there's something to that end. Obviously, there is, in addition, a core fan base to Resident Evil that was going to buy this game. So that's like built in. I don't know how many people that is, though. I don't think that's 6 million people.
I also don't know, and I also, just guessing along with you, I think it's not 6 million people. You and I, we've said this so many times over the past few episodes, but I think it bears worth repeating. We both feel like we're relatively new to Resident Evil, because Resident Evil has been around forever, right? It's been around for a crazy long time.
Yeah.
I do kind of think it's not quite a No Man's Sky scenario, but I think there is something similar. Like, at least in my circles, nobody talks about Resident Evil 5 or 6.
No.
And I can only imagine kind of, I don't know, because I wasn't really paying attention when those games came out, what people thought about those or what the reception was upon release. But those are two games that it's kind of a black hole. Nobody's talking about Resident Evil 5 and 6. But I would say starting with Resident Evil 7 and then the remakes, Capcom rebuilt this reputation around the franchise.
Yeah.
And Requiem is absolutely carrying that momentum forward. So I think that there was some like come unto Jesus moment at Capcom or whatever, where they were just like, okay, what makes this franchise cool? Why have people stuck with us this long? what do people really enjoy about this franchise? And I think they sat down and they just essentially studied their own history about what makes Resident Evil. And then for people like you and me, we come in with the remakes, and you and I feel like we have a good sense of like what the central characteristics of Resident Evil are. So
Yes.
we go into Requiem super excited with a list of things to anticipate, and guess what? Because Capcom is on their game, Requiem checks off all those boxes. And so I just think like this versus something like Crimson Desert, I mean, Pearl Abyss doesn't get to benefit from having a come unto Jesus moment and figure out what their series or what their game philosophy is. They're still figuring that out. And so I think that kind of shows with, I guess, in terms of how gamers or players respond. But also to address what you're saying, one of the worst parts about social media and gamers, capital GTM, trademark, whatever, is that they love to have predispositions and
Yes.
prejudgments about games. And it is freaking annoying, right? A game like Crimson Desert, people have to defend it. Like, dude, game's been out a day. Like,
Yeah.
as of this recording, been out 24 hours, maybe less. And there have been some reviews out, and you didn't like some of them, and some of them you do like. Like, just everybody settle down, man. If the game's not for you, it's not for you.
It's the ultimate, like, I'm choosing my narrative, like, before it's even right. It's like I'm picking my stance before I've even played the game. It's crazy, right? And Crimson Desert's one where, like, I'm kind of at a place where it's like I'm maybe even ready to put my money where my mouth is, instead of going like, well, maybe I need to just try this for myself and decide, like, if I think it sucks. Instead of, and admittedly, right, like, I do use critic reviews as a direction, right, to give me, like, a sense of direction on, like, a sense of, well, do I want to spend my money on this? Because it does cost a frick ton of money. Video games are freaking expensive, right? And I don't have the time to put into everything. So you need some kind of barometer. That being said, Resident Evil had incredible reviews, so that definitely helped. And
isn't that the thing? That's kind of the rub, I feel like, in video games. If people are hyped about a game and then the reviews are hot, it's a home run. It's a grand slam.
It's a grand slam. Yeah. If the perception that this game is going to be amazing and then it is amazing, that's just a recipe for make a ton of money.
Yeah, it's hard to even discuss fault about a game like that. Like, listen, I love Elden Ring. Elden Ring still has faults, and I can recognize those. Does Requiem have faults? Does it?
Sure.
Special topics episode, we discuss the faults of the best games ever. No,
is it the perfect video game?
Is it? Yeah. But yeah, I just think we live in, and I agree, like, reviews, they are to guide you. The best judgment you can make about a video game is you actually playing the game, like, bar none. And what bothers me, I think, the most about people that just are very okay with coming into a game with a massive prejudice about it is that you don't let yourself take risks. You don't let yourself be surprised by a game you might really love too. It just as much as you don't let yourself enjoy a game, or because you just want to go into it hating it, you don't let yourself be surprised by a game that maybe you would have liked had you actually just given it your own shot, instead of just relying wholesale on what popular opinion was. And so I think you do yourself a disservice in a way. But then again, I'm with you in that, like, dude, you got to use reviews because we have limited time and money. And you read a review, and the best review is going to give you information about, hey, is this the type of game that I would like or not?
You also have to find reviewers that you think you generally agree with, which I think is also sort of this nuance, like, in navigating video games. It's like, you can't even really, like, if a game's like all 10s, it's like, okay, it's probably going to be pretty good. But even then, like, there are games that have been all 10s that I don't love. Expedition 33 being one. I'm probably like the one weirdo on the planet that just didn't think that game was, like, earth-shatteringly amazing. I thought it was very well crafted, but it just didn't do anything for me emotionally. So... yeah, you have to find... I don't even know that I have people that I think I have a few different people that I sort of agree with, but even then, like, they can be wrong. And
Yeah.
I think we've had this discussion before, Jake. Like, what's your favorite video game that has really bad critic reviews? Like below.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what mine were, but I know I had a few. But anyway.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I've had plenty of games that I've enjoyed that I think, by and large, most people didn't enjoy or just thought was like pretty whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Resident
I
Evil's
think
not one of them, just to be
it's
clear.
not. It's definitely not. Yeah. Bringing this back to Resident Evil Requiem, I do think that Capcom is in a pretty unique position to make this game and to make it the success that it is. They clearly know their craft, they know their engine, they know their game, they know their game's history. As silly as that, it feels silly to say, right? Like, well, they understand Resident Evil. That's why Resident Evil 9 is so good. I mean, it's kind of like, well, duh, 2 plus 2
Well, it
equals
is.
4.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like where games falter is when a game doesn't have a clear direction, or when I don't know, you have people that maybe don't understand what the game is trying to accomplish, guiding the ship.
Another veteran studio with a lot of people that have probably been there since the old days, working on games with so much institutional knowledge. It's just a recipe for making great video games. So, and this is one of them.
Yep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's been our episode on Resident Evil Requiem, our full breakdown, full analysis of the narrative, game design, and impact on the industry here on the Peter Bonus Podcast. If you like the show, leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Helps us grow, helps more people find us and listen to us. You can also join us in our Discord channel. Come join the conversation. Come tell us how much we suck and you hate our content. We would love for you to come hate on us in the Discord channel. You might get banned, but maybe you'll enjoy it and you'll stick around. Maybe you'll find a couch that you like. You can sit there and hang out. You can talk about weightlifting if you want. You don't have to talk about video games. You can join us on the Patreon, patreon.com/PeterCast. Sign up for the show, which will get you access to the extended edition of the Resident Evil Requiem episode. This episode, in fact, where we are going to spoil everything in the game and talk about the full story, unfiltered. You can get that exclusively on Patreon. Sign up for the deluxe edition. You can also watch Jake stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/ChipTip18. Please follow us, join us, continue to support us. We thank you very much for listening, and have a great night.